Good evening. Tonight is the first of 3 nights reserved to hear from the community about the superintendent's recommended fiscal year 2024 capital budget and amendments to the FY 23 through 28 capital improvements program and the Clarksburg Elementary School number 9 boundary study. We will hear both in person as well as video testimonies, and tonight's hearing is being broadcast live on television and MCPS Media. The board will hold 2 additional hearings on November the 9th and November the 14th to hear public comments on the superintendent's CIP recommendations. We will conduct another CIP work session during the board business meeting on November the 10th. If board members offer alternatives during that work session, the board will hold a hearing on November the 15th. The board is scheduled to take final action on these matters at its meeting on November the 17th. As always, board members are looking forward to hearing and considering your testimony. The order of speakers is listed on the agenda that is available on the board's website. Any written testimonies presented for tonight's hearing can be found on board docs. Let's begin with our speakers who are here with us in person. When your name is called, please approach the podium, push the flat button below the microphone to turn it on, and begin speaking. Speak clearly and directly into the microphone. At this time, we'll go around and introduce my fellow board members, starting with Dr. Joftis.
Good evening, everybody.
Miss Harris.
Good evening, everyone.
Miss Silvestri.
Good evening.
Miss Evans.
Good evening.
Mr. Arvin Kim.
Good evening.
And we have on video Miss Mandrowski. I guess you can't hear us. And we're also joined on video. Good evening. Okay. We're also joined by staff from MCPS, and Dr. McKnight is on video, and we're joined at the table.
I said good evening.
A little bit of delay.
Yeah, I hear you. Thanks, Rebecca. Dr. McKnight, do you want to say good evening?
Yes, thank you, President Wolf. Good evening, everyone. And I look forward to our testimonies this evening.
Thank you, and we're joined here at the table today by Dr. Murphy. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to call Laura Stewart.
Good evening, Dr. McKnight, President Wolf, Vice President Silvestri, and board members. My name is Laura Stewart, and I'm here to speak on behalf of MCCPTA as a CIP chair. Thank you for all the work you have done on school facilities over the last few years. Even though we are moving through the pandemic, I understand that maintaining and building schools will have many extraordinary challenges going forward. We also have to address COVID-19 and other pathogens that are hitting our school population right now in my family. There will be difficult choices in the future. I wanted to share with you the areas I have heard about throughout the county. HVAC issues throughout the county affect many children. HVAC projects are necessary for everyday quality of life in our school building. These quality of life projects should not be sacrificed. We also need to keep up with the air filtration and ventilation program in order to reduce the spread of airborne viruses that cause absences and more learning loss. We are also hearing more about the need for available safe water. Where there are filtered water bottle stations, there have been concerns about filters being replaced appropriately and other maintenance procedures being enacted as needed. Now that we have 2 stations at all schools, we need to look at students per unit and strategic placing of more stations. We will advocate for the money allocated for in-classroom lead-free bubblers and water filtration to stay in the budget, and that's for our younger children. They need access to water, and their brains are more susceptible to the effects of lead exposure. The Health and Wellness and CIP Committee again requests that we have regular meetings with MCPS. Hopefully, we can continue our collaboration, including the students that we are engaging in our committee. We would also like to work on a one-stop school profile page for each school so parents can see all aspects of their facility in one place. This could include HVAC ratings, water reports, recent PLR work, the facility indicator report, and the new indoor air quality data. Speaking of facility indicator reports, I've looked at several and they date back to 2018, so hopefully we are working to update those. Links to the various pages could be an easy way to do this, but there could be other more accessible open data methods as well. Now I will address the elephant in the room. The list of projects that need funds to keep the current schedule is long. I suggest there be an open dialogue with school communities as to how you will prioritize projects in case the county cannot meet the funding request. I've heard that the current Poolsville High School construction is particularly disruptive to the school community, and therefore, that is one area maybe we could look at prioritization. Also, equity should be used in prioritizing schools. I want to point out an issue at Northwest High School. They are not here today, but they had to fundraise to upgrade their concession stand, and people from all over the county actually submitted to a GoFundMe page to get that done. So maybe this is something else we can look at as far as an equity issue goes. Northwest. And as moving on, we could also save money with maybe some liberal COSAs, as if we do have extraordinary overcrowding, we can move some kids that way like you did in Clarksburg. As you know, the past FY 23-28 CIP resulted in 8 project delays. These delays could be extended if we don't work together as a community to demand the full funding in this request. It is not filled with wants, but instead a reasonable request based on very real needs, some of them long overdue. The state must step up and allocate some of their surplus to make up for inflation and supply issues that you have laid out in front of us. Our local revenue is not keeping up either. Built to Learn money replaced some of the general obligation bonds that we have typically received. The County Council also reduced their GO bonds. I encourage the Board of Education to write a letter to the County Council asking for relief and to lay out the consequences of delaying these projects. We will stand with you and advocate in very strong terms. It's time that we invest in our kids just like we have always done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is the Clarksburg High School cluster. Please play the video.
Hi, my name is Bella. I'm in first grade and I go to Little Bennett Elementary School. I live in the Highlands, Clarksburg, and the L5 zone. I take the bus to school and it takes 2 minutes to get there. If I had to switch schools, it might take a lot longer to get there. It would be sad if I move schools because I will miss my teacher and my friends, and I have a lot of friends there. If I had to switch schools, it will be really hard to make new friends. Please do not vote for option 4 and 5. I love my friends and my teachers at Little Bennett. Please don't make me move schools.
My son started elementary school this year at Little Bennett, and he's had a great time. He's blossomed. I can tell even with being affected by COVID over the last 2 years, I've seen such a great change in him socially and intellectually since starting kindergarten at Little Bennett. I can't imagine having to take him out of the school where he's now made new friends, knows the staff, and switch him to another school where he would have to start all over fresh again.
I just started Little Bennett this year and I love it. I made lots of new friends at Little Bennett this year. Mr. Harrigan and McActivity are awesome.
One of the reasons we chose to buy our house in the Highlands back when we moved here in 2020 from North Carolina was the fact that it was zoned to Little Bennett Elementary School. The Highlands neighborhood has been districted to Little Bennett since this inception of the elementary school. It doesn't make sense for us to go to Clarksburg, especially with the new road where St. Clair is extended back into the neighborhood that leads right to Little Bennett. There's no main streets to cross, no busy traffic. Options 4 and 5 just are not equitable from a building utilization perspective. Both of those options keep Clarksburg Elementary School utilized at over 100% even through the next 5 years, while all the other Clarksburg elementary schools are underutilized, below 100. How is that equitable? How is that fair to the students that are there?
Vote no to options 4 and 5.
Little Bennett is very diverse. We are 26% Black, 27% Asian, 20% white, 19% Latino. If you pick options 4 and 5, we would go to Clarksburg Elementary School, and it would be less diverse. The staff at Little Bennett has done an excellent job of building relationships. These relationships take time to build. COVID made it hard, and we're finally feeling comfortable at Little Bennett. This is important for all of our mental health. This is not the time to move us away from our school. We've had enough changes. We need stability. I love Little Bennett, and the staff and students are so nice. Please don't make us move schools. I love Little Bennett. We agree with Dr. McKnight. Vote for option 1.
Good afternoon. My name is Beth Wolf, and I am the Clarksburg Elementary PTA President. On behalf of our students and families who currently fall in the Clarksburg Elementary boundary, both those who are currently at Clarksburg Elementary and those who chose to COSA to Gibbs Elementary, I would like to thank you for keeping the development of Clarksburg No. 9 on track. We look forward to the opening of our new school in fall of 2023. After having reviewed the superintendent's recommendation for the future boundaries of Clarksburg No. 9, I would like to request that the future boundaries be revised so that Clarksburg No. 9 is contiguous, meaning that all students will be able to matriculate from elementary to middle to high school together. This is vital to the growth and stability of the students during such a critical developmental stage. The current recommendation splits the boundaries not only for middle and high school, but also their entire PTA cluster, making Clarksburg No. 9 difficult to represent in the future. My concern is that Clarksburg No. 9 will become a no man's land school that is technically not represented by the Clarksburg cluster or the Seneca Valley cluster. This ambiguity is not helpful in an area where representation is already lacking due to documented low voter turnout as the community is still becoming established. Currently, this is the reality at Clarksburg Elementary, as our students are split between middle school, high school, and PTA cluster. I recommend that section C7 remain at Clarksburg Elementary in order to keep students who are at Clarksburg No. 9 and Clarksburg Elementary contiguous for middle school, high school, and within their PTA clusters. Thank you.
My name's Emery, and I'm Olivia. We go to Captain Daly Elementary School. We just wanted to say that water is important. It keeps us hydrated and focused. We don't have any water bottle refillable stations on the second floor. Can you help us with that? It would make our teachers happy too. Hi. The best part is to keep the environment clean, and it will stop the plastic pollution.
Cedar Grove sign is damaged. It needs to be replaced. As you can see, it's already broken. We can't even put messages on the board. So help us get an electronic school sign so we can get messages on here in real time.
our neighborhood haven't accepted us. Halliwell, Snowden Farms, Clarksburg High. What about winning the spelling bee contest? Everyone driving by will know it's me. Giving posts about World Night, Spirit Night, and my favorite, the book fair. Increase communication between teachers and parents. My dad never checks the emails, but always writes by. Celebrating graduations. Going to middle school is a big deal.
It builds a strong image. Think about how cool it looked when new enrolling students get to see an electronic board sign that says, "Welcome to Cedar Grove."
Electronic school board sign is a return on investment. We can get corporate sponsorships and earn money to host events and help the school.
Post celebrating my son's birthday on the sign, and you may charge mommy and daddy for posting it.
Our staff can post messages like Spirit Night, teacher conferences, and concerts without having to go outside in rain and snow and change letter by letter.
Please help us, MCPS, and get us an electronic board sign.
Okay, at this time, I call Mr. Teddy Wu.
Hello, my board members. My name is Teddy Wu. I'm the president of the Snowden Farm PTA for the past 4 years, and now again, a cluster coordinator for Clarksburg. I would like to thank previous boards for helping us in getting our school, Snowden Farm, open in the fall of 2019. If you recall back then, if you were on the board, we were in Wilson Wims, which had 14 or 15 portables or relocatable classrooms. So it's after not testifying for 5 years, it's disappointing to find that Clarksburg Elementary School experienced a similar overcrowding for the last few years. With now, I'm reading the new book, it says 20 relocatable classrooms and a very small permanent structure. And the delivery of instruction continues to be very challenging, but we hope that with the new school will be on schedule. At the previous meeting of yours on November 1st, I believe the project is slightly behind schedule, but still recoverable. I urge the board to continue to monitor closely so that the school can open on time for the fall 23 start, because it's really hard to keep going with 20 portable classrooms at that location. I would like to also bring your attention to overcapacity issues, that continuing capacity issues in Clarksburg High School. Even with the expansion of the boundaries changes and expansion in 2017, they continuously have a fleet of portable classrooms. Since 2012, they've always had 11 portable classrooms. So we haven't been able to solve this problem for 10 years, and now they're up to 14. We really depend on Damascus to be on time, so we urge the board to please keep that on schedule, because now we are depending on Damascus renovation for Clarksburg. I also included in the document other items that schools have proposed that could be CIP items. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kathy Fusto.
Good evening, Board of Education members, Superintendent McKnight, and MCPS staff. My name is Kathy Fusto, testifying on behalf of the Seneca Valley Cluster. I am the proud parent of 3 children who have all attended Krista McAuliffe Elementary School, Roberto Clemente Middle School, and Seneca Valley High School. My youngest child is currently a sophomore at Seneca Valley. Thank you for the opportunity to advocate for our cluster and others countywide. We now share Neilsville Middle School and are appreciative that the new construction is on track. Goodbye to the 80s spiral ramp idea. Goodbye to the 4 bathrooms in the whole school. Yes, that's right, 4. We look forward to welcoming families to the new Clarksburg Elementary School, number 9, as well. When talking to principals about the buildings and looking at key facility indicators, it's not clear where things stand with repairs needed. Let's take Dr. Martin Luther King Middle School as an example. The most recent KFI report is from 2018. Indoor environment, humidity control is code red. When asked for on-site information about what this means, we learned that several classrooms are 89 degrees. Something is off with the thermostat, and has been for years. Where is this on the list to evaluate? Why isn't this transparent? We now have a work order tracking system. We also need a KFI tracking system. A principal should be able to check the status on when an HVAC issue is going to be evaluated and potentially fixed. It is completely unknown when something might be done about classrooms nearing 100 degrees on a daily basis. Include all school cues, like painting. At MLK, interior finishes is also code red. Is this painting? When is King set to be painted? There is a painting cue, but principals don't know where their school is on the list. Why isn't this transparent? CIP projects have a set process with funding considerations. By far, most principals are dealing with maintenance. Please consider updated KFIs, but also create a way to know how the facility concerns are being prioritized, managed, tracked, and communicated. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I call Laura Stewart, who's going to deliver the testimony for Hannah Donart.
Before I start, I have a correction. It was Watkins Mill, not Northwest. It's the other cluster that couldn't make it. So it's kind of hard when you're dealing with the whole county. I am here for Hannah, who is feeling under the weather. And I'm testifying for the Poolsville cluster. They appreciate the opportunity to provide feedback to the many individuals throughout MCPS who impact capital projects. We request that the needs of our cluster remain in the current CIP. We would like to thank you for committing to the ongoing modernization of Poolsville High School and the roof replacement of John Poole Middle School. Our cluster is very interested in receiving updates on the high school modernization, including the increased funding requests and current projected timeline for completion of the different phases. We would also like to reiterate several outstanding CIP requests that warrant prioritization and information on timing for our other schools in the cluster. For major capital projects, 1, continue to provide funding for the ongoing modernization project with the fall 2024 target date. Provide adequate funding for phase 2 and the main gym expansion as promised, as well as funding to modernize the athletics fields as part of the existing project so that all of our school facilities are equally upgraded and consistent in utility and appearance with each other. We also request strong consideration for piloting hardy natural grass fields as a more sustainable, safer alternative to the plastic sand turf. Our community is located in an agricultural reserve and rely on healthy soil to grow food. We also get our drinking water from groundwater, and chemicals like PFAS are difficult to filter out. We request that a high school wellness center be included in the modernization project as well. Our community does not have equitable access to healthcare facilities as we are located in a rural area, and the nearest hospital is about 15 miles away. The Montgomery County Council recently passed 3 special appropriations to expand wellness centers to all public high schools in Montgomery County, and as such, we urge you, while shovels are in the ground, to ensure that funding and plans are included for wellness center at Poolsville High School as well. HVAC replacement. Additionally, we have 2 outstanding HVAC replacement requests we would like updates on, and again request that these projects be prioritized in the coming year. We know that better indoor air quality promotes a healthier learning environment for all, with lower staff and student absenteeism, increased test scores, and many other co-benefits. Poolsville Cluster thanks leadership for recognizing this and funding the much-needed replacement of Monocacy Elementary School's HVAC system. However, we would like to request a timeline for replacement of the system as plans were drawn in the summer of 2021, but has not been replaced yet. The thermostats that regulate the HVAC units in Monocacy Elementary do not maintain comfortable room temperatures, and the humidity controls do not work well either. The school is humid even though dehumidifiers are located throughout the school. There is a history of mold in the building, and these need to be upgraded. Planned life cycle replacement. We also request commensurate funding for the replacement or repair of the intercom PA system in the student restrooms in the front of the school at Poolsville Elementary School, where announcements cannot be heard. The young children who attend there may not hear urgent messages in a timely manner, creating a safety issue, especially if there is weather emergency or intruder in the school. Please note this is the fourth request for this intercom system. We would also like to request the maintenance plans for filtered water bottle stations for all of the cluster schools, including filter maintenance, aerator cleaning, and other spec requirements. In addition, we would also like to ask funding for more filtered water bottle filling stations, except for Monocacy, which is on well water and uses bottled water only. Improve safe access to school. Finally, we would like to reiterate our request for replacement of the sidewalks at the front entrance of John Poole Middle School. They are cracked and broken in several spots, and the temporary repairs are starting to crack as well. Thank you for working with us to ensure a healthier, safer learning environment for all of our students. We look forward to hearing from you, receiving updates on the various requests, and there's more detail in the written. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Stephanie Fitz.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Fitz, and I am the Quince Orchard Cluster Coordinator. Tonight, I want to testify in support of keeping Crown High School project on schedule despite potential budget shortfalls. Given the current projections of increasing overcrowding at Quince Orchard High School, there's increasing need for Crown to be ready to open its doors on time. I am, however, concerned there's not been enough communication to the potentially impacted communities. As we know, changes in boundaries are very complex and often contentious. Better early communication could help prevent some of the divisiveness that comes along with these studies. While it is not known what the boundary for the new school will be, the process to determine its boundary is known and should be explained to the community. At this time, families would benefit from communication in multiple languages about the following. 1, where the school will be located and the projected timeline for opening. 2, how the boundary study will be conducted and what types of issues will be taken into account. 3, if rising seniors at the time of Crown opening will be allowed to remain at their current schools for their senior years. If so, how does this work? 4, how and to whom do community members communicate their concerns or questions about the new school? 5, when over the next years will there be more information available or chances for community members to engage in the planning process? Our area is very diverse with many languages spoken and with families who have varying ways to access information. To try to reach more families, MCPS should reach out to the elementary schools they believe might become feeders into Crown High School and work with these schools to find ways to communicate information to all families. In addition to providing electronic content, MCPS should also provide paper-based communications in the languages spoken by members of these school communities. Better early information will demystify the process and hopefully let families feel like they can be partners in the creation of Crown High School. Our community has long known that a new high school is coming, so there's been years of speculation and concern. MCPS needs to step up its communication so families have access to fact-based information. I know there may be circumstances where families might rather their child attend their currently assigned high school. However, in my cluster, I've heard from many families that would welcome their child attending a new state-of-the-art high school. The creation of Crown High School could be a cause of excitement and education if students from the elementary schools most likely to attend the new school were involved in seeing the building and planning process. Observing a school being built from the ground up, learning about the planning process, even having their input heard in the creation of the school would be a powerful experience for these students and give them a sense of ownership and care. The second issue I want to briefly touch on is inconsistent communication around bus delays and cancellations. So I was happy to see the updated transportation dashboard. However, we, like other school districts, need a phone app. Currently, children are often at the bus stops earlier than needed if the bus is running late and exposed to outdoor conditions longer than necessary. This becomes increasingly problematic on inclement weather days, such as freezing temperatures or rain. An app would also give families access to clear visual information about where their child's bus is and any change to schedule. Having the visual information is essential for families where English may not be spoken. A phone app would also allow older students who have phones with them to check the status of their bus. My son, along with many other children in this cluster, spent countless long mornings anxious at bus stops, wondering if they have missed the bus, or maybe the bus is late, or maybe the bus is never coming. We also need an alert system offered via app or separately that will proactively provide parents and students information about bus delays. It is unreasonable to expect parents to daily check and recheck transportation dashboard. Lack of easily accessible, timely information around bus delays and cancellations is an equity issue. Parents who may not speak English as their primary language or may not have access to browser-based technology or may not have the time to constantly check and recheck a web-based dashboard are at a disadvantage in accessing timely information about bus statuses. I urge the school board to prioritize the need to rule out a phone app and alert system before the freezing winter weather this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our final testimony comes from Mariana Peplinsky. Please play the video.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify at the front of Board of Education. What brings me to testify is the need for water bottle refillable stations at the Captain Daly Elementary School. Currently, they don't have any of these stations on the second level, and many of the students and teachers express interest and need of these stations. Some of the reasons are that it's hard to access the current location of these stations for second level students throughout the day. And staying hydrated allows students and teachers to stay focused. Drinking water improves memory and attention. It prevents chronic diseases such as diabetes. They help families to save money. Water bottle refillable stations provide clean and safe drinking water without any contaminants such as lead. They help reduce plastic waste and therefore are great for the environment. My family have been volunteering in the past several years to clean school grounds, mostly from the plastic pollution. We realize it's not only school issue, it's also community issue. However, teaching students the importance of stopping plastic pollution at its source is critical. And I believe having more of these stations will provide for and create a plastic-free environment that our children and the earth deserves. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, this concludes our testimony for today. At this time, I'll take any comments or questions from my fellow board members. Please turn your light on if you would like to comment. Ms. Harris?
Yes, thank you everybody for coming out. And I did want to pick up on a theme that I'm hearing in a lot of the testimony is around transparency and information sharing. And I think many things were mentioned, including maintenance tracking, maintenance issues that are popping up in schools, how we're tracking the key facility indicator reports for each school. I think multiple people mentioned that their school's KFI is dated from 2018, and talking about, let's see, other, projects that are ongoing in a school. And I think Ms. Stewart called it a profile page for each school where all that information is transparently shared. Seems like a good idea if it's something that, there's a one-stop shop for each school where all of those issues, water quality testing, the most recent KFI report, if there are ongoing maintenance projects in that school, timelines are shared. If there's a project, a capital project that's actually ongoing, sharing that timeline. I think that is something our communities ask for us routinely, is just share information with us so we know what's going on in a way that we can find it and understand it. So I just want to highlight that testimony that came through multiple places. And a question that I had on our water bottle filling stations, are we tracking utilization? And I don't know how we would do that other than how often the filters need to be changed. I think some of the original water bottle filling stations didn't necessarily have the sensor that let you know when filters were, getting to the point they needed to be changed and when they needed to be changed. I think most of our newer version water bottle filling stations do have that visual cue. But is there, and I guess I'm just looking right at Mr. Adams, is there a way that we are tracking how much uptake we're getting from the installation of the water bottle filling stations?
So that's a great question, and one that we are tracking, particularly from the filter perspective. But as we think about the implementation of the board's sustainability policy, that is one of the benchmarks that we obviously have talked about in terms of working with schools and then having them be part of the dashboard of really showing how much waste stream, particularly from single-use water bottles, are we saving through the use of filling stations. So that is an element that absolutely is going to be a big part of our outreach work through the sustainability. But right now we are primarily focused on it from a filter and a maintenance perspective. But I do believe pretty much all of them do have that indicator at the station that shows basically how many water bottles have been offset based on use of those filling stations.
Yeah, and I'll just put this on your radar for the sustainability team. And what used to be CERT, I'm not sure what we're calling it now, but I've had a lot of students express interest in coming up with ways to partner with the school system to really raise awareness about the presence of the filling stations, encouraging their use, and explaining why use of water bottle filling stations is sort of a 360-degree good for the community and the people in the schools. And so, because when I'm in schools, I always note where the water bottle filling stations are, and I also just kind of look around to see how many people are taking advantage of them. And it's a bit variable, but I see some people with their refillable water bottles, but not, I wouldn't say anywhere near a critical mass. So how we can work with our schools and our students to really emphasize the importance and support use of refillable water bottles. But yeah, just an observation.
And just sort of a plug on the Green Schools certification. That is something that we've been losing a little ground on, quite honestly, is obviously maintaining the certifications, but also growing those certifications. Yes. Obviously, water use, waste stream reduction is a big part of that. So you will start to see this coming year a strong initiative with us to partner with schools, obviously focused on this Green School certification, but it will encompass a lot of what we're talking about here, particularly from a water bottle filling station, but beyond as well. So, yeah. But great point.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And then the last question I have is in the Poolsville cluster testimony, they were talking about a wellness center as part of the new Poolsville. And I'm sorry, I'm just blank. Did we include a wellness center in the design for the new Poolsville?
So the wellness centers are funded through the HHS Capital Improvements Program. One of the things that we are doing, though, is master planning for that, and we're awaiting the specific design funds for us to proceed. If you recall, the county council was very very specific in their desire to add full wellness centers at all high schools. So I do believe, based on that commitment from council, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So we are preparing for it from a master plan perspective, but obviously waiting for those funds to be obviously procured from an HHS CIP perspective.
So we'll be looking at that when we're talking about the design for the new crown, and then at Woodward, Poolsville, and I know Northwood already had a wellness center, so I'm assuming that's continuing in the new Northwood.
They are all master planned, or if not designed already, at every one of the high schools that we're currently either in design or construction for. So.
Yep. Thank you.
Ms. Silvestri.
I wanted to thank everyone for coming out tonight and expressing the needs of your clusters and school communities. I don't have a lot of questions because I agree with most of everything you said, and it was very clear and articulate. So I did want to ask about two things, the KFI issue and the phone app. Mr. Adams, I know that we have this work order, or I'm not sure who that goes to, but the work order tracking system. But then the issue that we heard about the KFIs, that's a different animal. And so how do people stay informed of where their school is and getting that need addressed? I can't answer that one, so I'm going to send it to you.
No, and it's a great question. Right now, if you were to go to the Department of Facilities Management website, you're going to find a lot of information, everything from water bottle filling stations to our lead in the water testing, to KFI data, to what we hope to roll out as a public-facing work order system. Right now, it is a new work order system that we've been working through implementation through this fall. We have a sort of a beta test of what that will look like from a public-facing perspective. But I guess the point of the testimony is really, how do you start to bring all of this together? One of the goals of the KFI process was really to identify everything from major capital projects, but also where we needed to think about future funding and whether or not that future funding was going to be adequate enough to manage the infrastructure challenges that we're faced with. So we do have consultants out in schools right now redoing much of our KFI data to do an update. But for us, really creating that dashboard, as folks have talked about, is really a next step for us, because we have a lot of information out there, but it's a bit scattered, and really thinking about how to bring it together. But also from a KFI perspective, really having communities see the information and help with advocacy too. A lot of what we're talking about today is the superintendent's request. Dr. McKnight has requested increases in a lot of the programs that impact everything that was talked about, from paint to water bottle filling stations to you name it. But if we don't see it, we don't know which programs it's included with, and then we can't tie it to KFIs. Yes, it's a downfall that we need to address. So it is great feedback, and one that I would hope throughout this course of this year and into next year we do start to create some variety of dashboards to help with the communication aspect.
Thank you. And I don't know who can answer the bus app, but I know that, the bus situation continues to be an ongoing concern for all of us. Every day we hear of routes not running, and yes, it's getting colder and darker, and so we want to make sure that our kids are safe if this continues to happen, although I am hopeful that with the people that are about to be hired or in the training pipeline, this can be alleviated before winter hits us fully. But I know that we are doing an RFP for a bus transportation system, but that won't happen until the end of this academic year. Could someone just tell us, just how do we address this issue given our current challenges, just to avoid having our children at the bus stops in the cold and in the dark?
Thank you, Ms. Silvestri. we've been hearing feedback from our community and are trying a number of different strategies. We actually look forward to providing our community overall with some updates next week to just as we move into the second quarter. We have quite a few things in the works. We've been collecting information around which routes have been most impacted, what we need to do in the immediate to solve some of that. And we're working with a number of different partners. So I'm just going to ask our community if, just stay tuned next week. We look forward to being able to share more information about what we're doing to solve the immediate need of the stress that our transportation system has been experiencing. And again, we have a number of partners that we are working with right now at this moment, because this is an urgent issue for us to solve. And we have some who are working with us on that. In terms of the RFP for a transportation system, so that's a process we've already started to work on in terms of outlining exactly what we need to do. The first step, and we've shared this publicly, which is to be able to have an electronic system to help us with our routing, while we will be able to do full implementation next year. I mean, we want to take advantage of the fact that this is still early November. So being able to put an RFP out, start talking to vendors, there may be some preliminary things we can do before next year in a smaller way to look at ways that we can begin to onboard some of our routing needs through an electronic system. So we're just working all of these things together at the same time. But again, most urgently for our community, we look forward to sharing more information next week around what we're doing to relieve some of the immediate stress points. And I want to thank our community for just the feedback that you've shared with us. We've had a number of partners come forward over the past week, sharing that they're willing to work with us to help solve some of these issues. So we're just working, again, swiftly with these partners to pull everyone together so that we can come out, share with our community how we're addressing this need, just like we did at the very beginning of this year with our staffing needs.
Dr. McKnight, will that communication be out in the things to know message, or just so that people know where to look for it?
Yeah, we're looking for by the end of next week. So if things to know normally comes out on Thursday, I believe this may be a Friday community message.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other lights. I want to thank everybody.
Oh, sorry, Ms. Wolf.
Oh.
I'm sorry about that. Just two quick things. I know, Mr. Adams, that there's been kind of a review and starting to address some of the PA systems as a result of, or to improve from a safety concern. The Poolsville Elementary School PA system was mentioned. Is that on the list to be looked at?
Yeah, so there's two elements there. So we are working with our schools from a PA perspective to identify and obviously provide the work order information, and we're addressing that immediately. But we're also developing, in conjunction with Department of Safety and Security, a proactive test to go out and test every space in every school in the coming months. And this is not only just classrooms, but also other occupiable areas in the building. So if there's immediate needs, we obviously are working very closely with our principals to make sure that information is provided us so that we can fix it. But we are also addressing it from a proactive perspective in the coming weeks to months to make sure we know every space in every building and our ability to communicate.
Okay, thanks. And just second question, last question is there a plan in place to start talking to the community about Crown High School?
Yes, and so there have been 4 community presentations. That's an area of work that we've worked with school principals to push out a variety of Connect Eds. We do obviously anticipate having many more community presentations, particularly around the building itself and the building design. In terms of the boundary process, one of the elements that we will be discussing at the upcoming work session with the board is just thinking through and mapping out what the boundary studies could look like for these schools, because it's not just Crown, right? Crown's going to have a large impact, but we also heard from the Clarksburg cluster around Clarksburg Damascus that will involve a boundary, as well as Woodward, Northwood, with Woodward coming online and the expansion of Northwood. you're really talking about a pretty significant boundary of high schools that are happening around the exact same time. So next week, we'll start to map out what that could look like. Again, just to remind everyone, the Board of Education has sort of two pieces of boundary studies. They vote and decide on the scope of the boundary, but also then obviously vote on the boundary changes themselves. So we'll map out those steps, think about from a timeline, and obviously other elements that are going to be important to the scoping of those boundary studies.
Okay, I can't see Ms. Mandrowski, but I know that she's there because she sent me a message that her screen was going off. So, Rebecca, if you can hear me, if you have anything, say something.
Okay, thanks. I don't actually have any questions at this time, but I do want to thank everybody for their testimony. I'll associate myself with the comments of my colleagues in terms of, these are obviously things that we're really very aware of and interested in and will continue to follow up on. So thank everyone for coming out.
I just have one question for Mr. Adams. The KFIs, she mentioned that it was showing 2018, and you just mentioned that you're doing a complete review. Again, is that going to be on a schedule? I mean, will our community know when they should look for updates to the KFI listings?
So yes, I mean, when we first started, we talked about it from the perspective of a 3 to 4 year cycle. And the reason being is that the KFIs are not necessarily to supplant the maintenance work order system. It's really just a spot review of our facilities to really gauge, how they're aging, how they're impacted by, everyday use, and obviously how they are supporting the programmatic educational functions of the school system. But as I mentioned, they're really primarily used to help guide us in future planning around funding of specific programs, prioritization of whether it be full building replacements or major renovation work. But they are not to supplant a work order system that is addressing specific items. I would just point out, things like air quality and temperature controls, that helps us with, specific items like the HVAC replacement program and identifying and prioritizing those buildings, and particularly from a funding stream. So as I mentioned, Dr. McKnight's recommendation includes an increase in that program, and that's a direct correlation of our work around the KFIs. So the next step for us, again, is to really link that together to make sure communities know what we're using it for, how again, we're tying that to different programs, and then obviously how they can be involved in advocacy of funding and continual improvements.
I know we have a very complicated system in a number of buildings, so I was just curious if HVAC is on a KFI, and it actually gets worked on in a particular year, but it's before the next cycle to show that you've updated the KFIs. Is there going to be a system that records that so that anybody looking at it could tell that that's already been done?
So yes, one of the things that we do want to focus on, and a lot of information is in this book, but I know folks, don't have, the time or the patience to go through this and really digest everything from painting projects to HVAC projects. So, again, from a dashboard perspective, we've really thought about how to memorialize work that's happened, and be able to, again, reflect, some of the changes. A lot of our work happens over summer months when no one's there, and that's one of the things that we've talked about from the HVAC program. We could have a $5-6 million investment in a school, but you really don't know about it because you can't see a lot of it. So again, how to identify it, how to track it, and show what work ultimately was done and at what time is going to be a key next step.
Thank you for that discussion. And again, I want to thank everybody for taking your time, coming out and sharing your concerns with us tonight. And this concludes our hearing for tonight. Thank you. you.